Hello, this is Amin Krangchel. Welcome back to Audio School. In this tutorial, we will be talking about buffer size. What exactly is a buffer size? I'll be explaining you to that, how to change, when to change, and where to change. Sometimes during recording you end up having latency. Your artist is finding a problem with his headphones, he's hearing a delay, his voice is coming a bit slower, like not coming in real time. Or it so happens like during after recording, when you start mixing, you start adding tracks and plugins, and when you play back you started hearing those bits and cracks, and kind of a big problem for you to mix the song. I have seen some people doing is they started minimizing tracks, they started deleting tracks, and they started deleting those unwanted plugins. So what I'm gonna teach you in this tutorial is you may not have to do all those stuffs. You may just change the buffer size, increase the buffer size, and let the system, your computer, do the work. And if it's beyond the power of your computer, then maybe you have to delete those tracks. Before we really proceed with the topic, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, subscribe to my channel, like the video, share if possible, and also click the bell icon for more updates on any digital audio workstation. Okay, let's go back to our buffer size. Before we really enter into the meaning of the buffer size, I'm going to show you where to change the buffer size. If you go to Studio, my Cubase is a 10.5. You can find it in below 10.5. I have been using Cubase since Cubase 4, and there is always this thing Studio, and you'll have a studio setup in the Studio menu. If you click the Studio menu, you'll find this VST audio system here. Under the VST audio system, this is your audio interface driver, your audio interface driver control panel. This control panel is not the control panel of your computer, instead it's the control panel of your audio interface. This is your buffer size. Here your buffer size have starting from 8 samples till my interface have 2048. Many of the audio interface doesn't have the 2048 samples, but don't worry, you'll still have that 1024, and it's pretty fine with 1024. Okay, I won't change the buffer size now. So exactly what is a buffer size? A buffer size is the size of the samples taken by the computer to process and convert digital to audio signal. So lower the buffer size means less samples to be converted by the computer, and to process those audio clips, audio signals, and convert them to digital to analog signal. Higher buffer size means more samples to convert and process and convert those digital signal to analog signal. I will tell you the pros and cons of having a low buffer size and when you need them. Okay, let's start with a low buffer size. The pros of having a low buffer size is, like as I said, less samples to be processed. That means less time will be taken by the computer to convert audio signal to analog signal. So conversion is happening really quick, and you won't have any latency problem. You will hear your voice, your vocals, or your drums or your guitars as soon as you're playing them. So what we do is, during recording, we keep our buffer size samples really low. I won't recommend going beyond 128. 128 samples is fine. And the cons of having a low buffer size is you cannot run more tracks, you cannot have more plugins, because if you have more tracks and more plugins, that means you have to have more samples. That means more processing power will be needed by the computer to process and convert those digital signals to analog signals, which means you'll start having latency problem, or you'll start hearing bits and cracks during those things, because the computer will eventually overload. Sometimes you end up like your computer, your system crashes during recording. Make sure you don't have um, many tracks during recording. You make sure you don't have unwanted tracks or unwanted plugins running during recording. Pros of having a higher buffer size is you can have more tracks, you can have more plugins, but the cons is you'll start having latency because more tracks, more samples means more time will be taken by your computer to process and convert those digital signals to analog signals. More time means you'll start having latency problem. So we don't normally increase our buffer size during recording because we want the audio conversion to happen in real time. I'm gonna show you a quick pic of my like how to change and when you need to change your buffer size. My buffer size is set to 128 samples, and let's listen to the project once. Quite impossible for me to figure out what exactly is going on, whether it was the track or it was the vocals. Everything was distorted. And one thing to make sure your buffer size is big or not, press an F12 on your keyboard, then your audio performance meter is there, and as you can see, this is already peaking. Like this can't go beyond this. If you play, I'll start distorting. This is what the computer tells me. So I'll try increasing the buffer size now. This is a 128 samples. Let me put to 256 samples. See, it's still here. It's still picking, but it's blinking a bit. It's trying to come down, but the project is still very heavy for the computer to process. So I'll try increasing it again. Keep your eye in this audio performance meter. Can you see that it's coming down a bit? It's breathing now. Like, okay, the computer is telling me maybe I can start working with the project now. But if you have a higher buffer size, then that would really be good for me. So let me try 1024. So yeah, basically that's all about buffer size. If you have any problem, uh, it may be FL Studio, it may be Pro Tools, it may be Ableton, it may be Reaper, it may be Sonar, it may be whatnot, it may be Studio One. You may have a latency problem, or you can have a problem those bits and cracks while recording or mixing. You must make sure you set your buffer size correctly. You set your buffer size according to what you need. Set your buffer size low during recording, and increase your buffer size once you are done with your recording. And once you go to your mixing process, you can always increase your buffer size. So if you have any other problem regarding buffer size, let me know, comment in the comment section. And not only buffer size, if you have any other problem, any troubleshoot during any regarding any audio workstation, feel free to comment and feel free to ask. I will be really pleased to help you. In case if you haven't subscribe to my channel, like the videos. If you find it helpful, then share it if possible. Click the bell icon to get more updates on any audio workstation. Thank you for watching Audio School.